Hi, everybody. I'm Madison Cote here from the ESIO once again, here to talk to you today with Andrew Czarnietzki and Jen LaFace. So they are from Only by Midnight, and Andrew is the lead developer and co-founder with Jen here with 15 years of experience in the games industry. He's also a co-founder of Serious Labs here in the city. Jen is also part communications, part storyteller, part marketing, part everything, with 10 years of experience in science fiction and fantasy writer, and also served as editor with the Publisher's Assistant of Canada's longest running science fiction and fantasy short fiction magazine On Spec. So we've got a lot of background here of two very different things kind of colliding into something amazing. But I've invited Andrew and Jen here to talk a little bit about making their game, Curved Space, and to get to know them a little bit better. So welcome both Andrew and Jen.
Well, thank you very much for having us on.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we're so excited. I mean, this is a really, really exciting time with Curve Space as we get ready to actually launch the game. And with your backgrounds, it only seems natural that you two would have eventually worked together and collaborating on a project. So how did you two decide that this was the time to do it?
So we'd collaborated on a few things before. We actually have a little short story that's been published. We have a few other little projects around, and Curve Space, the core game mechanic of it was sort of a hobby project for a while. So I've been poking at that for a very long period of time, and I thought I had a really cool thing. I thought I had a game that was fun, and it's just like, hey, this is the victory, and got Jen to play it, and it's like, why are we shooting things on this weird surface? What's the reason? What's the story? And considering Jen's background on the writing and science fiction fantasy side, it was actually heading down to a writing convention and on the road down to Calgary. So we were starting to brainstorm. And what was the phrase that you brought to the table?
We're trying to figure out a reason why you would be shooting three-legged space fighters. And I came up with trans-temporal space fighters. And then we just went from there, and it kind of branched out. And you'll see that if you play the game and play the campaign mode and explore that. There's a little bit of a trans-temporal hijinks involved.
Yeah, the little three-legged spiders, the spider wrangler protagonist, and the story that kind of sticks it all together. That's all Jen, and it really kind of transformed it from just a cool game mechanic into an actual game. And so we started working on that, founded the company, and now we're off to the races. Curve Space is launching shortly, and it's awesome.
Yeah, it'll be out June 18th. It'll
19th.
be
18th.
June 18th. I was going to say in June 18th. And there's it'll be on Steam. It'll also be on PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo Switch, and it's also for the next gen consoles too, like PS5, the new Xbox S series, and you can actually pre-order it on Amazon right now, which is kind of cool.
Yep, physical, digital, also on Good Old Games. So whatever platform you have, check it out. We appreciate that. And in the meantime, wish lists. We always appreciate those wish lists.
Oh, 100%. We've set up our own curated Steam page so that we can send people over. As somebody who played the demo, I know how you get that little taste of what's to come when you see you get to make your three choices. So I'm really excited for other people to experience it as well. And the first time that we chatted, I didn't actually work at ESIO yet, and I have loved seeing you two just go. It's been amazing to see how big Curve Space is, and Only by Midnight. So you two were actually the first ever video game that was supported by the ESIO for our Edmonton Screen Media Fund. So what was that process kind of like for you?
Well, first, kudos to ESIO to consider video games part of Screen. So when we first heard about all this, it's like, cool, there's another film thing. Oh, wait, you're interactive digital media. You guys
awesome.
So we started talking to Shay and Josh, and there's a really good click. So that was excellent. And to have that sort of resource in our backyard for Edmonton is great. And just getting that video game out. So there's a lot that we can do in-house, but that extra little support is what's really needed to get that marketing, get that polish, actually sort of bring it over the top. And just absolutely lovely to work with the ESIO and have that available.
Yeah, and I think we've seen you two just being great stewards of the community as well, and really, really getting involved. So I think we've been learning a lot from you, and maybe back and forth a little bit there, but it's been absolutely wonderful on our end as well. And we're really excited to share this game because I know we've all played it. And is there something that you'd want to share with the folks at home that you're really excited for them to experience with the game?
You know, for myself, it's just zipping around those surfaces, and it's just like you're playing the game. You're like climbing. Whoa! So you're going up, and then you wind up being on the ceiling, but now the ceiling's the floor, and your previous floor was now the ceiling, and just kind of that effect. It's something you don't usually see, and it's just it's a whole bunch of fun doing that. And then we've got, for the story campaign, you've got kind of this, like I mentioned before, the interdimensional hijinks. You've got these 3 different storylines, but as you're moving through, you're figuring out, well, who I am, who do I trust, and just going through it and going through that adventure, and then you can go back and play again, which is awesome.
Yeah, definitely. I think if we can go into a little bit more when you were talking about that mechanic of flipping, it's based off a Mobius strip, right?
Well, Mobius strip or kind of anything. And so the idea is it's a 2D game. Think something top-down, classic shoot 'em up, except take that surface, like think a piece of paper, and fold it and bend it or twist it or wrap it around something. And so it's a 2D game in 3D space. The 2D game, to handle things like seams and that, is kind of a little bit closer to something like Portal. So you go in one seam and come out the other at some sort of place. But all that's invisible. So what you have is a 2D mechanics, and you've got lasers and bullets and rockets and kind of a lot of the stuff that you'd expect.
All the fun stuff.
Except that laser, like, it moves consistently. It moves. There's a method to how it moves, and in the 2D world, it's just a straight line. But because it's bent, it actually like wraps around and curls and does all sorts of neat things. And it puts a literal twist on those kind of classic shmup mechanics.
Yeah, definitely. And I think when you hear the name curved space, like that could mean anything. And there's a few things going on that kind of lead to the name of the game for sure. But I really wanted to highlight that it is a very unique experience. I don't think I've ever played anything quite the same as that. And I really like that I can't fall off the edge of the earth in your game.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. The first prototype of it, I used physics to just drive this like frictionless ball against the surface, and it was great until you hit the edge really hard and could overcome that and just go tumbling off into space. So that doesn't happen anymore. It's actually quite a neat little bit of technology, and that was our big goal. Is we want something fun, something sticky, but also something that people haven't seen before, because there's a lot of games on Steam, there's a lot of games out there, and what's some twist that we can kind of put on those classic formula? And
Quite literally too.
yeah, this case, quite literally.
For sure. You also have like an amazing amount of weapons in the game. I think last time I checked, you were at over like 15 different flamethrowers, this, that, or the other thing. Is there a final number that we settled on?
Yeah, 24.
Yeah.
And each has a overdrive, so it's it kind of feels a little bit closer to 48, but not quite. Well, there's somewhere in between. But there's 24. You also have the core abilities like the lashing and the dashing, and those really kind of help change the mechanics too. So like the lashing, we use that for certain game modes to kind of be a little bit more indirect in how we handle the spiders. You can also use it during regular gameplay, so you can like lock on, hold a spider down as you blast it, or use the lashing to sort of entangle them, make all that work. The weapons were a lot of fun. You got the classic like blasters and kind of shotgun, sniper, lasers, stuff like that. But some of them got weird, and that weird's important. It's fun. We want to keep it fresh.
My one of my favorites is the weed whacker, and it has like ning 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 sound. It's very satisfying to play with the weed whacker while you're doing that.
It's a giant energy weed whacker that feels so dangerous, and it's great.
Yeah, then there's like sandblaster and the plasma gun, but you also have like, the classics like sniper, shotgun. You've got a couple different types of mines, and I think rockets. It keeps it fresh. You can like rotate your weapons, or we also have another mode which is like arena or other like survival mode, which is different challenges. So you get your weapons and see how long you can last.
Yeah, some of them get interesting. I think we actually have a giant scythe on the back of the ship that makes no sense in a space game, and it's hilarious and it's fun. But that core mechanic is all about trying to keep it fresh and interesting. And it's funny, I've heard from a bunch of people the idea of like, why can't I just get that perfect weapon and just use it for the rest of the game? And it's because it's not that fun to play just with one weapon that you know really well. And to have that, like, okay, I'm running out of ammo. Oh, how do I use that scythe? Or how do I use that weed whacker in this situation? And how do you get through? There's a lot of fun in that. And that was actually, there's a bunch of pieces where I was inspired by Steriden, which is just such a great little indie game. And like the melee weapons are neat. Never really clicked as a player. They weren't my thing. But then I was getting all the achievements, and it's like, okay, fine, complete a run with melee weapons. And it's like, fine. That was actually one of the best runs I had. And now it totally changed the perspective. And so the idea of switching out which weapons, which sort of scenarios, how do you kind of interact moment to moment, kind of is all about that, keeping kind of this experience as fresh and interesting. And yeah, that's kind of how we designed it.
Yeah, I don't think I could say it any better than that. It's variety is the spice of life, just like you said, Jen, and it is very true in this case. Like you said, though, you have been incredibly involved in the community. Like we've seen you at game camp events, we've seen you chatting, Alberta Makes Games, everything like that. Is this something that you really enjoyed, kind of digging into the indie scene here in Edmonton?
Oh, we got a great indie scene, great community. To me, it's a whole bunch of friends who, back in the before four, when we could all go out to places, have a beer and talk game design. So that's great. But yeah, some awesome people, awesome community. Actually, really appreciate what ESI was doing to kind of put all this together.
Yeah.
The best industry Christmas party I've ever attended was by ESIO, and it was great. It was good music, but not too loud. It was great hors d'oeuvres that were kind of available the whole time, and I just had amazing discussions with awesome creative people for like 4 or 5 hours. Like it was awesome, and it's that same sort of community that I see on the game side, on the film side, on the animation side, and to have ESIO kind of pull all that together is awesome. So
and to go out and network and reach out, because we met ESIO first actually at an Edmonton game camp, which was awesome, and then we saw them at another event when they brought Reboot Develop Red up to Banff, and just kind of started our relationship with ESIO. But it's been, I just think that's awesome to be able to branch out and bring everyone together, because I've attended a couple of sessions too. It's just interesting seeing like there's video game people, but there's also like film people, and it's nice to talk and have that camaraderie and just that community support. It's wonderful.
Yeah, and I think, the convergent media too has been such a fun part to see where everybody does cross over, because there are crossovers for sure. My last question is just, did you sneak any Edmonton Easter eggs in?
Edmonton specific, no, although it's a little hard way out in space. We do have a proudly made in Canada, though not much of an Easter egg, I suppose. It's more just statement of truth. Easter eggs. There's not so many Easter eggs specifically, but there's fun little dialogue twists. Some of the achievements are a little bit fun. Especially on Steam. We had this one tester who I thought that I could just use a regular integer number for points on the scoreboard and it would be enough. And turns out things crash after 4.2 billion points. So now we have an achievement for the billion points, for the trillion points, and really excited to start seeing what happens in the leaderboard. But yeah, I wouldn't say too many Easter eggs, but a lot of kind of just fun little sass in the game. We have a giant eyeball sky with like crazy synthwave colors, awesome music, all these things. Lean into that 80s synthwave retro aesthetic and have a lot of fun with it. So
we do have a local Edmonton actress who actually did the voiceover for the game, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's amazing to hear. So maybe we'll just say that Space's weather is your Edmonton Easter egg for this day. But yeah, we just want to make sure everybody knows when and where they can get their hands on the game. We're looking at June 18th, and pretty much on everything you could imagine.
Yeah, you bet. It'll be out there, physical, digital, whatever platform you have. It plays beautiful on the next gen ones. At the same time, the portability on the Switch is awesome, and I really appreciate that as a parent. So whatever you have, it's going to be a fun experience, and yeah, give it a try.
Amazing. Well, I just want to thank you again, Andrew and Jen, for being here. And just if people want to get to know you a bit more, they can follow Only by Midnight. They can check you out. It's been absolutely wonderful seeing you two grow, and just I'm so excited for this game to come out.
Well, thank you so much. And
thank you.
Yeah, at Only by Midnight, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We're most active on Twitter. Discord, curvespacegame.com has all the links as well. And if you have any questions, video game wise, about Curve Space itself, any of these things, we're always on Discord. So feel free to reach out. And, yeah, thank you so much.
Amazing. Thank you again.